Hello again. Today I'm going to talk about Emil Durkheim. Emil Durkheim happens to be a sociologist, but he is also referred to by anthropologists, and he is the founder of a particular paradigm uh, in sociology and anthropology, which is called functionalism or structural functionalism. Although he has been famous as a sociologist, but uh, anthropologists have been using him, and that he has been used by many anthropologists to his ideas have been anthropologists have found his ideas attractive, shows that there is little difference between sociology and anthropology. But that debate we can do later. But let us see what Emil Durkheim has to say. Durkheim wanted to understand and theorize the impact of large structures of society. So, as you can see, he was interested in society as a whole. He was interested in macro processes. Um, and he thought that the individuals, when they interact with each other, they are not absolutely doing that independent of the influence of wider processes and forces. So there is society in us. So our individual consciousness is shaped by our social milieu. And he used the term social fact to describe the social structures and cultural norms that are external to or coercive of actors. So, how will be shaped and influenced by the wider social processes and forces? One single individual does not have much say in that. It almost things happen behind one one individual's back, beyond the consciousness of that individual. Um, it, and that one single individual also cannot change the social forces by himself or herself. So that was what Durkheim thought. Um, the main assumptions of Durkheim. That was a puzzle that he wanted to see. What makes society possible? So, if individuals are so independent, as many theorists of his times were trying to articulate, that individuals, it is the individual who make up the society, is the basic unit of society. But then he asked a counter question: how is society possible um, if the individuals are so independent of each other and the society? So, a little bit about the biography and history of Durkheim and his times. Durkheim was born in France in 1858 and witnessed massive social change in economy, polity, and civil society. He came from long line of rabbis, yet rejected the vocation. He was a committed social activist. Took active part in the Dreyfus affair, where a Jewish soldier was wrongly jailed and punished, and but all those ended well because Dreyfus was released from the jail, and he was deeply interested in the questions of progress and social change. So the basic fundamental concept of Durkheim is social fact. He thought that there are manners of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external to individuals, and these manners of acting, these ways of thinking or feeling shape us, control us, coerce us to behave in a particular way. And these manners of acting are sui generis. They're self-generating. Which does not mean that individuals and groups do not have any role. They are not just voodoo charms. That they do not have individuals and uh, groups have no. It's not that they have no role in forming those uh, manners of acting and thinking, but one single individual uh, does not have any control on that. So it happens as an emergent reality. It happens through the interaction of individuals among themselves. And the consequences, the outcome of that interactions are not controlled by one single individual or beyond the purview of a single individual, beyond the comprehension of one single individual, which gives rise to these social forces which come to dominate uh, on individuals, coerce them, and shape their choices of actions. So, in that way, those forces, those manners of acting and thinking and feeling are self generating. It's a sui generis reality. They cannot be, to explain that, explain those social forces, we cannot reduce them to the component parts. So we cannot account for them by asking one individual. So, society um, is greater than sum of its parts. So, if the parts are the individuals, society is those individuals, but something more than that. Something that has emerged out of their actions and interactions, which cannot be any longer accounted for in any one individual's action and has to be accounted in its own terms. And that is how it is a social force, a separate reality, a sui generis reality. So, social facts, Durkheim also thought, signal or represent certain common condition or need, or the cause of which social facts are effects. So, there is a common need that people collectively respond to, and that is how social facts emerge. So, he classified the social facts into material social facts and non material social facts. Among the material social facts is the society, which we can kind of sort of see, touch, such as structural components of society, church, state. I mean, you cannot touch the state, but you can nonetheless touch the buildings. Morphological components such as population, distribution, channels of population distribution, channels of communication. And then there are non-material social facts which you cannot see, but nonetheless you can feel. Norms and values, collective conscience, collective representations, social currents, and social forces. So, what he thought is we need to go beneath this to discover the common condition or the need that these social facts serve or signals, and discover the causes of their existence. So, how do we explain the social facts? We have to see what functions, what does it signal, what need does it signal. So, by determining the need, by identifying the need that it signals, you can see what is the function that social fact is playing in society. And that function usually is a function, a meeting certain basic need. So he also outlined certain rules of studying social facts. So that was the ontological position, what I just said before, and now the epistemological position he is articulating. how do we, so if this is the state of the being, then how do we look at it? How do we know about it? So he wanted anthropologists and sociologists to treat social facts as things and clearly delimit and define the group of phenomena which is being researched. Subjective bias towards the social facts should be avoided, he said. So he wanted to discard all preconceptions. So you'll see when he's studying religion, he writes that how his subjective bias should be eliminated before he starts looking at religion. And he clearly defines what religion is on the basis of certain common characteristics among what he thought all religions, and thereby he thought that totemism is a religion which the religious, the clergy did not find that uh, a good thing, find that they could agree with. So that led to his differences with Catholics and clergy, because they did not consider totemism to be a religion, but Durkheim did. And that is what he's saying, that the subjective bias should be eliminated. We should not, and here you can see that gradually the anthropologists and sociologists are starting to realize that their ideas about society are in a way shaped by their ideas about other societies, are shaped by their ideas of having a superior religion, or being part of a superior society. So that's why Durkheim emphasized we need to discard preconceptions. He emphasized that religion is a complex system of parts constituting of rites and beliefs, collective representations. And rites determine modes of actions, manners of actions. And he said that all known religious beliefs present one common characteristic. They presuppose a classification of all things, real and ideal, of which men and women think, into two classes or opposed groups, generally designated by two distinct terms which are translated well enough by the words profane and sacred. Now, what he thought religion is, religion divides the people's world or our world into two categories. One is the sacred and the other is the profane. And then there are rules regarding how we can address the sacred, how we can behave towards the sacred, and what are the rules of mixing and not mixing the sacred and the profane. So, sacred things are those which are isolated and protected by powerful interdictions. Profane things are those which, according to those interdictions, must remain at a distance from the sacred counterparts. Religious beliefs are representations which express the nature of the sacred things and their relations, either with one another or with profane things. And religious rites are the rules of conduct that one has towards the sacred things. So, for him, for Durkheim, religion is a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices which unite one single moral community called a church, all those who adhere to them. And here, by church, he does not only mean the Christian church, he is basically referring to a communion, that religion brings people together. And finally, what we are going to see, that he explains religion as a social fact, and he says the function of religion is to create solidarity. But we are coming to that. So what he found is, he studied totemism among the Australian Aborigines, and here he mostly relied on. He never went to go and talk and interact with people, the Australian Aborigines, but he mostly based his studies on secondary literature, and but he nonetheless studied them very closely and saw that members of each clan considered themselves bound together by a special kind of kinship based on blood, but on the mere fact that they share the same name. And the name is taken from a particular species of material objects, an animal, less frequently a plant, and in rare cases an inanimate object, which clan members are assumed to enjoy the same relationship of kinship with. So, totem is also an emblem which, like the heraldic coats of arms, is carved, engraved, designed upon other objects. So, once the clan identifies with a totem, and that totem kind of becomes an emblem, and it is, you can see that emblem in various uh, objects, material objects, which this clan uses. Uh, and these objects arouse this similar kind of sentiments as the totem arouses in the clan members. And clan members are also sacred insofar they belong to this totemic species, a belief which gives rise to this genealogical myths explaining how men could have had animal and even vegetable ancestors. So, Durkheim sees that totemism is a religion in which there are three classes of things: the totemic emblem, the animal or plant, and the member of the clan, and all are recognized as sacred. Now, this can go for any religion. For Durkheim, so every religion has some kind of an emblem, a sacred object, or a particular idea of where people came from, right? Uh, which is true of Christianity, Hinduism, various sects within Hinduism. Uh, in the particular Australian Aborigines that he was looking at, that happened to be an animal or a plant, but in other religions there are other kind of emblems, and other kinds of beings, such as God, and then the God becomes an emblem, a symbol, which is then inscribed in other objects, right? And the members of the clan, the communion also is a sacred thing. So religion is basically what religion gives for Durkheim is a cosmology in which all known things are distributed among the various clans and phratries, so that everything is classified according to social organization of the tribe. Because men themselves are organized socially, they're able to organize things according to their societal model. And so what Durkheim is trying to say is that religion divides the world for us to particular categories. So this idea of, as we have discussed before, this idea of religion actually gives us a particular popular ontology. It says something about the state of being, state of a social being or natural being, right? So for Christians, the ontology for the Christians is different from the ontology of the scientists who believe in evolution. So so religion as a cosmos gives us a cognitive classification, and this cognitive classification it's very difficult to separate that from moral classifications, and that's why whenever certain religious beliefs are challenged by science, then there is a problem. There are people who will take strong positions. So Durkheim, what he thought is what he found among in the totemic religion in the Australian among the Australian Aborigines is the most elementary forms of religious life, which is common to all religions. But he asked himself that religious character could hardly be. I mean, how the religious character can be explained in terms of those the species which is not very harmful, and if it is a plant, or those emblems. So there is no, people are not kind of, you'll not be scared by those animals because those are harmless animals. So what explains why are people in such awe and veneration, when they, awe in such awe of all the emblems or the totem, because a totem in itself is nothing, right? So there is nothing intrinsic in the totem that makes it sacred. uh, so what makes it sacred? So totem, according to Durkheim, in short, is not a religion of emblems or animals or men at all, but rather an anonymous impersonal force immanent in the world and diffused among its various material objects. Uh, so he argued that the mana, the wakan, the orenda, this belief in a diffused impersonal force is found among Samoans, Melanesians, and various other North American tribes. Um, so, and this impersonal force cannot be reduced in, cannot be explained to the objects that are held to be sacred. So his hypothesis is that the god is nothing more than society apotheosized, was supported by a number of characteristically Durkheimian arguments. So he insisted that what is worshipped as the sacred is actually the representation of the society, is actually the representation of uh, individuals' dependence on the collective. What is worshipped as the impersonal force beyond one's control is actually the society, embodiment of the society. But we do not uh, kind of understand it. We can understand that only if we reflect on it very deeply, but otherwise, in our daily uh, life, we just take that for granted. We do not go deeper than that. We just take it for an impersonal sacred force. So this is what Durkheim talked about, and he'll finally say that religion, as a social fact, which basically holds together the society